Welcome to the first revision class for IGCSE. So, okay, we have a small confusion, so be careful. So now, please keep this in mind. So this particular class, which we are currently doing, is focused on computer science, and there will be another one, which is the other revision class, which will be focusing on information technology, ICT, okay, information and communication technology, because there are two types of students and multiple schools, they teach two different subjects. So some teach the computer science subject and some teach the ICT subject. Okay, so since there are two different subjects going on, we will have two different sessions for the revision. Okay, perfect. So to start off with, I hope we have the students who are currently facing the exam this May-June exam round. So we call it the summer exams. Okay, and then in this case now, to to plan this out, we have like maximum about another 4 months to cover this up, right? 4 months maximum. Let's say about 50, about 16 to 17 weeks. Okay, so that's technically we have about 17 classes, right? So let's try to expand this class time. So in the coming days, let's try to make it at least about 3 hours a day so that we can do much more. But let's plan this out. So today, actually, what I'm going to do is this video will be available on YouTube as well. So for this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain what is this computer science, the topic and the specification, and let's discuss about the paper structure. Okay, so I want you guys to understand what type of papers and what is the current paper structure, available paper structure for you guys, and what type of questions and answers which is there, and how you should prepare yourself in order to face this. Okay, so let's jump in and see what how to find these details. Okay, first of all, whatever said and done, you need to find out how to find your specific subject in the PSN's website. Okay, so ideally what I can suggest is basic way of searching for this is just search as international GCSEs. Okay, if you take a tab and if you search as international GCSEs in Google, you can find the international GCSE link. So when you open this up, okay, you should be able to, you should be able to see all this list of subjects which is available. Okay, so all the subjects which you are currently doing in your class should be visible in this list of items. Okay, now here we are talking about two different categories. So we do have the computer science, this one, as well as we do have ICT. Okay, now since this class we are going to talk about computer science, we'll go to C and then let's select the computer science subject. Okay, so when you select this will take you to the specification of this particular subject. Okay, when you are in the specification, this is where you guys need to be extremely mindful about which specification you are learning or studying at your school. So some are studying this computer science and others are actually studying the ICT subject. This is the one. Okay, so what I suggest is just click on download and it will open you this particular PDF file, which is the original specification which is given to us by the PSN Edexcel examination body. Okay, so I'm going to open both. So let's see what this is. So here, this is the computer science one, this is the information technology ICT specification. Okay, so the primary points you need to keep in mind is, okay, so I'm just going to close this up because ICT will be discussed in the next revision class. So here we are going to focus on computer science. Okay, so I'm just going to close this out, but I hope you guys now know how to open this. Okay, Nice. So I'm just going to close this and let's stick to the International GCSE's Computer Science specification. So in this specification, you have all the details which is given to us by the Pearson academical body itself, and it will specifically show you all the details. Okay, here this will show you the specification updates and how to use the specification, as well as you get the course structure. Okay, so the course structure, the programming, the data, so these are the topics. And then we have the most important thing, assessment requirements. Okay, and then we talk about assessment objectives and so on and so forth. So there's a huge bunch of data which it will be uh, beneficial for you to read. Okay, so obviously before you go for the exams, go through this, read this specification, and understand what you have got yourself registered to. Okay, and also if you go down into the appendix, you can see you get all these terms, and as well as you get a certain set of information like flowchart symbols, which is, so these are the items or symbols or descriptions, arithmetic operations, and all these things. These are the structure, and these are the things which is being used or which is going to be asked, or which you're going to be questioned in the exam. Okay, so everything is structured in a proper way so that you can see all the details, right? Okay, so I'm just going to go back up and so going to talk about the second important point. So the first important point was how to find the specification, and the second important point is qualification at a glance. Okay, now here when you go into this particular point, you can see that this will show you the paper overview. Okay, so I hope you guys already know this. So this is a 2-year program. So after the completion of 2 years, you are given 2 papers. So which we call it as paper 1 and paper 2. Okay, so paper 1 is known as Principles of Computer Science, and paper 2 is known as Application of Computational Thinking. Okay, so what are these? Now when you go to the paper overview section, you should be able to see, you can understand and see what are the specifications which is being given by this particular, which is being questioned in this particular paper. So let's see, so the total weight is 50%, and keep in mind this paper code. This is the most important thing you have to be careful about, because if you apply for IGCSEs through your school, then you don't have to worry about it, because most schools, they do apply it. They do go through the application process on behalf of you, and your parents just have to pay the school, and the school will handle everything. But if you are a private candidate, then you have to be careful, because when you go into the Pearson's website, the British Council website, and when you select the exam, you have to select this particular paper code. Okay, so you selecting this paper code only will give you access to that particular paper. Otherwise, don't get registered to a paper code which you have not done, or which you haven't studied, or you might get into a problem while you are doing the exam. Okay, so always keep in mind this paper code. So paper 1 is called as 4CP0/01, and paper 2 is known as 4CP0/02. Okay, so let's just briefly go through this and try to understand what this is. So the content summary. So this paper, so as this says, the paper assesses the knowledge of and understanding of the basic principles. Okay, let's cut the chase. Let's get to the main point. So what are the specific questions that it's going to ask? It's going to ask about algorithms, what are they, and why they are being used, and how they work. Okay, so I hope you guys know about algorithms by now, since you have already done 1 year. Then understand the requirements for writing program code. Okay, so this is not about writing the code itself, but this is about understanding why or how and the basic requirements of actually creating the program code. Then understanding how to develop program code and construct data types, structures and operators and sub-programs, subroutines, and how they are built in, okay. And then binary expressions, one of my favorite topics, where I know it's mathematics and calculations, but easiest questions to score, because if you know how to write the calculation properly, you're going to get the full marks, okay. And then we talk about the computer systems and ability to construct truth tables. So simple, zeros and ones, we create the table, and if the table is correct, or partially, at least partially, one partial point of the table is correct, then yes, you get it, okay. And then it asks about some common knowledge about awareness of emerging trends and computing technologies and so on and so forth. Okay, perfect. So that's aside. That sets aside. So that's the content summary and the assessment. Now this is what is most important, right? The paper itself. So the assessment is a 2-hour examination paper, and this is being automatically set. So this is actually not being set in Sri Lanka. So this is built by the Pearson's authorization body itself, and it will be marked by Pearson. Okay. So the paper consists of multiple choice, short open response, and extended open response questions. Okay. Now these are the types of questions which you are going to get. Then there will be a total number of marks available for the examination paper, which is 80, and all questions are mandatory. Okay, so you must write answers to all the questions. Otherwise, yeah, that's how you are going to get all the marks. Okay, so I will take you guys through about this multiple choice and short open response and those type of questions in a while. I'll explain what this is and how these questions need to be answered. Okay, and then we jump into the interesting paper. Interesting in the sense, this is the paper where you have to code. Okay, so this paper will primarily assess on the practical application of computational thinking, right? So whereby in this case the user or the person, you will create and use to learn how to adapt an existing algorithm to solve a certain set of problems in a particular situation. Okay, so it's something like a case study. We'll go through a paper today, and I will show you guys what type of questions we are looking at, and how to find these papers, and how to find the method of answering this. Okay, so the assessment. So in this case, the paper will draw on understanding of what these algorithms and how they can be used, basically how they work, developing and testing program code and constructs. Okay, again the same thing, data types, structures, input output, operators and subprograms, and so on and so forth. Then connecting and using data sources when developing a program. So in this case we talk about how external data sources can be utilized, right, or how external data sources can be connected to the system, and how that can be utilized to build an application, right? And then binary representation, and also there's a certain point about compression and encryptions. Okay, so encryptions we learn about in the main topics about what is encryption and how it works, so on and so forth. So there are questions which will ask why something has to be encrypted, and the process for that. Okay, so let's discuss that later on. And then the ability to construct truth tables and produce logic statements, and read and interpret pseudocode. Okay, so pseudocode is there, and you get a couple of pseudocode questions. So you have to be very tough and accurate about what you write in pseudocode. Okay, perfect. So the assessment is a 3-hour practical examination, obviously marked by Pearson, and you get you get a choice of 3 programming languages, which are Python, C Sharp, and Java. So in this revision class, I will be focusing on Python because of 2 reasons. One is Python is easy to learn, and the second one is Python. In order to run Python now, since we are running a lot of AI algorithms and AI systems, we can easily run Python free of charge online without installing anything. So as long as your internet connection is working and you have a good browser, you can run Python. Okay, and then this also contains some questions. So this contains multiple choice, short open response, and extended open response answers, and task based questions. Okay, so what is this task based question? Now that's a problem, right? So task based questions will be carried out using the computer system, which you will be under supervision. So all questions requiring a written response will be answered in the paper. So that is there. So if it requires anything which you need to write literally on the paper, you have to answer it on the paper itself. And the rest of the questions, you get a specific file, and in that file you have the question and you have to answer it then and there. Okay, so all questions are mandatory, and pseudocode reference document will be available during the assessment. Okay, so content, as you guys already should know, it's problem solving, programming, data, computers, communication, and the internet, and the bigger picture. Okay, so if you have the book with you, you should be able to see all the details, this is the official book, which you can refer and see what are the contents of. So we will be doing a speed run, like as in games. Let's do a speed run through the entire set of modules or the units, and we'll cover up the main points which will be there in your questions. Okay, so that's the whole point behind this revision class. So jumping back to this one, so that's about computer, the topic, right? And then the specification, if you read the specification, you can see it gives you a high level overview of all the topics. Okay, so if you take the topic 1, problem solving, you can see there's a high level overview about the primary topic, which is algorithms, and what the student should know. Okay, so here if you go through this, or when you go through this, you will be able to find out exactly what are the points. Okay, also these links will be available in the description down below, so please feel free to click and read these documents. Okay, now I'm not going to go through the document one by one. This is, I believe you guys must have been already gone through most of the modules, and you all should be finishing up the final development modules by now, right? Okay, so let me show you the structure of this module online on the Pearson side, and let's try to find out some information about the papers. Okay, so we'll come to this one later on. For the moment, let us go back to the computer science official page. Okay, so in this page now you can see there are some specific links. Okay, so this is what is actually important when it comes to finding the required data. So you can see specifications and sample assessments, exam materials, forms and administration, teaching and learning materials. Okay, so I know you can just say now I'm a student and I don't need teaching and learning materials. But yes, you do need them, because teaching and learning materials have another different view for the program than what you learn in the textbook. Example is, now you have the textbook, and in the textbook you have a specific way of explaining the details, right? So if I jump back to this one, hold on, let's open this up, and if you go to the first, if you open up the first topic, okay, so here we can see the paper types are there, and yeah, so here also you can see the paper codes, so here it shows you the paper code, which paper code you are going to use, and the marks and all the details. But read the specifications. That specification document has much more in-depth detail more than this one, and this will basically show us, yeah, so this is kind of like a let's say a minified version of what is there in the system. Okay, the specification book. But then again, okay, so here I will show you guys the different approach of things. Okay, so when you take the unit 1, you can see this is talking about problem solving, right? So here we have the algorithms, the details, and all of the points, which is basically talking about the assessment objectives and so on and so forth, right? So this has almost everything in a very simple way, right? But the thing is, other way around, okay? Other way around, the thing is, if you open up the teacher guidance, so if you go into teaching and learning materials, here you will see that we have a lesson plan. Okay, we have a exemplar material, we have the lesson plans, we have mapping documents, we have even training content. Okay, so here we have almost all the details which will be required for a teacher to know, and for you, if you go through this, it will give you some additional overview about what exactly you're learning. Okay, now example is, now here you have uh, year 1, where is the year 1 term 1, year 1 term 2, year 1 term 3, year 2 term 1, and year 2 term 2. Okay, so if you click on year 1 term 1, this will download, ideally this will download a zip file, and when you open the zip file, it should show you all the activities and all the things which we have to teach, right? Which we have to teach, as well as which you as students have to learn. Okay, so see, now here also for the first week, we talk about Python, the specific points, and then we talk about some keyboard shortcuts, and we start with activities. So we start building an activity, we start building a Python app, and it goes on like this. Okay, but in the textbook, what you can see is something totally different. So this is about understanding an algorithm, right? So we talk about algorithms, we talk why successful algorithms are there, and then starting with the activities, we go with the flow charts, and likewise we start with couple of building solutions. Okay, so I hope that part is clear. Okay, so this will basically let you connect your knowledge and fill in the specific gaps with the lessons and see what is exactly going on. Okay, so this is how the system is structured. Okay, going back to this list, so this is for the teaching. Okay, now if you go with the, so what we need is the exam material. So let's jump into the exam material and let's see what we have. this is where we find some interesting stuff. Okay, so we have the June, November, June 2021, and November, and again June and November and June papers. Okay, so obviously we get the same paper. Sorry, we have the paper usually in June, but due to some reasons, COVID and all, some this happened in November as well. But after that, from 2022, the the exam was only offered in the summer, uh, during the summer exams in May, June. Okay, now you can see there is a small problem. Now here this 2024 is actually locked. Okay, so you don't have access to that, but don't worry, I do have all the papers since I have since we got the access to Pearson, we have all the papers with us. So I will be doing all the papers with the latest one, with the latest one. But for you guys, you can still download the 2023 paper. Okay, so I'll explain you how to find this paper and how to exactly map these things together. Okay, now okay, starting off, so I'll close this one as well. Okay, starting off with, okay, so here you can see few files in it. One primary file is known as modified papers. So this is actually something which has different types of papers for varying needs to access past exams and materials. So you don't need to go through this, but you have to, first of all, you have to find out and get the question papers. Okay, now here you can see we have the question papers, question paper 1 and question paper 2. Okay, so I'm going to open this in two tabs, 1 and 2, and let's see what this is. Nice. So we have the first question paper, which is the code 4CPO-01, right? Sorry, 01. Okay, give me 1 second. Hold on. Okay, so we open the two question papers. So we have the paper 1, which is the 4CP 0-01. Okay, and you can see the title, Principles of Computer Science. And you have the paper 2, which is Applications of Computational Thinking. And the code, double check the code also. So it's 4CP0-02. Okay. Now you have the date, you have the details, and you have the candidate's surname, other names, the center number, and the candidate number. and you have all the details. Okay, now we'll start with the first paper. In the first paper, we have the details. So as you guys are familiar with it, you just need to use a black pen. And then the most important thing is this paper is 80 marks, and marks for each question is in the bracket, so you can find out which paper and how much marks you are going to get. And the main thing you need to keep in mind is you are not allowed to use a calculator. Okay, so no calculators can be used, and you have to show all your answers and writings in the paper itself. Okay, so we are here in the 2023 paper. Okay, now let's just jump in and see what type of questions we have. Okay, okay, no, let's jump into the second paper in a while, but let's do something just to show you guys what type of the way we should answer. Okay, so today's session I'm focusing on showing you guys, to letting you guys understand the type of questions and the way you have to answer and how to find out what is expected by PSN, right? So okay, now we open the question paper. Now we have, again, when you go back to the list of items, there you can see now we have the marking scheme, the mark scheme. Okay, now here you can see mark scheme. You have the marking scheme for paper 1, which is the question paper marking scheme, paper 1, correct, yes. So you have the paper 1 marking scheme. So open this up, and you can see it shows you the results, and here you can actually scroll down and see the markings or the marking structure for the paper. Okay, now in simple terms, let's just go through one question and see. So just try to map the questions. So this is the first question, and first question of the paper, and make sure that first question, this is the part A. See, 1 part A, and then we have the question. So let's just see this. People use networks in all aspects of their lives, and office building has desktop computers connected to a network. So one reason for networking computers is to enable technicians to maintain them remotely. Good point. Exactly. No? So state 2 other reasons for connecting computers in a network. So why do we need to connect computers into a network? Yes, so this example which they mentioned, that to enable technicians to maintain them remotely, that's a good answer, but then again that's a very complex answer, right? So you have simple answers as well. So so you have multiple answers, multiple points of answers which you can provide for this, right? You can connect them to access internet, to transfer data, share files, share resources, and so on and so forth. Now, but the thing is, now when you're writing the answer, when it comes to the PSN exams, there's a specific way of when it comes to marking, there's a specific way of marking, and there's a specific expectation from you when you're providing that answer. Okay, so let me show you how to find that. Now in the marking scheme, you can basically see the answers, and there are some specific answers mentioned here, right? Okay, so this is what I just told you: access, share peripherals, printers and resources, and access the internet or share files, right? These are the simple 3 points I just told you right now. But then again, there are multiple different points as well. But let me show you how to find out the exact expected answer. So when you go back into the list, you can see there is a point called the examiner report. Okay, so when you open up the examiner report, here this is a report which is basically provided by the principal examiner, where they will provide feedback on the questions. Okay, so this is the part which you really need to read and understand, because this is where you will be able to find out what type of answers they are expecting. Okay, so see, these are all the questions. Okay, now here if you check the first, this is examiner report. I opened the paper one. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so here it says the majority of candidates answered well. Okay, yeah. So this is a quick and easy question, but it says the most popular answers were shared peripherals, access to the internet, and communication. Right. So that means those were the most common items, right? And then it says most candidates obtained at least 1 mark. Okay, so likewise, you do have all the feedback which is given after the primary principal marking of this paper. Okay, so read this. So first read the paper. First make sure the paper, okay, and make sure you read the question of the paper, and then you can find out the answer from here, right? And you can actually read the examiner's report and see how the question was answered. Because sometimes, if that question was hard or if that question is complex or complicated, they mostly they provide feedback and they say, yes, people struggled during this question, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that information is there. Okay, quick question. Rahma, you are doing computer science or ICT?
Computer science.
Computer science. Ah, nice, perfect. Okay, because as I was explaining in the beginning, I will be doing another revision session for ICT because there are some students who does ICT too. Perfect. So you joined the correct class. Nice. Okay. So now I hope that point is clear. So we have the questions and then we have the examiner report. So you have to focus on both. Then the next point is about the answering technique. Okay, so when it comes to answer, when it comes to providing answers, you do need to make sure that you write the keywords. Okay, so what is this keyword thing? So this keyword story is actually um, a bit of a complex thing, but it makes your life much easier. Okay, now I I teach Cambridge as well. So in Cambridge we do have a problem because sometimes like when you write an answer, your answer should actually contain a full explanation plus it should contain details about explaining that process and so on and so forth. But when it comes to Edexcel, we do have a different overview. I'm not talking about other subjects. I'm specifically talking about ICT and computer science. So here we have a different point of view on this because you can actually write keywords, and if you write the correct keywords, you are going to get the full marks for this. Okay, so now let's think about this particular question. Now this question actually falls under the category of a short open response question, right? So this is a short open response question where you are basically requested to write two other reasons for connecting computers in a network. So this is specifically saying two, no? So that means you have to make sure that you write 2 points. And the thing is, when you're writing this, you do not have to like write this answer in a essay type of a way. As long as you can make sure that these keywords are connected, or if these keywords are written, then you are going to get the full marks. So example is here, you can see access peripherals, okay, or access shared peripherals, or even see if you have written something like access a shared printer, or access a network printer, or access the internet, or share storage, or access shared file storage. It can be server or it can be cloud, right? Or allows data to be shared, allows files to be shared, or allows information to be shared. And provide communication. You can say to send emails, use social media, to do an online meeting, or to chat simply. Okay, or provide collaboration. So it can be editing online documents, it can be playing games, right? And hot desking is actually a point. It's a bit of a complex point where you can actually swap desks and sit with like work at any location. And then this is also one complex point, allows centralized software back updates and backups, right? So just see, they have highlighted all the keywords, right? So these keywords, if you provide at least one keyword, voila, you're going to get full marks. Okay, so that's the fun part, is short open response questions. Okay, then let's see what's this one. So let's say the B is asking access to data must be controlled. So it's asking identify one reason that encryption is being used. Okay, so question A, to compress the file so it takes up less storage, not technically encryption. And to make sure both sender and receiver use the same key. Yeah, but not exactly the reason behind encryption, right? So C, to make sure data is only understood by the intended receiver. Anna. Okay, so small small green flag. Then let's see D, to stop malicious hackers getting into a computer network. So no, that's completely out. That can be something. So D can be okay. D can be what? Rahma, what do you think D is? Any any
What's that?
suggestions? What do you think the point D is? To stop malicious hackers getting into a computer network? In the networking module, we learned about this. Not sure.
Sure, sir.
Okay, we did, y'all did about firewalls, right? Network firewalls. Okay, no worries. Don't worry about anything. We'll be anyway doing a speed run. So today I'm just showing you the paper, but after that we'll do a full speed run through the entire set of modules, and let's cover these things up as fast as possible. So just to give an answer for this, so the answer is basically C, right? To make sure that the data is only understood by the intended receiver. So if you jump into the marking scheme, you can see that it gives you all the details as well, right? So it says the correct answer is C, yes. And then it says A is not correct because compression does not encrypt a file. Right? So this is why I say to read the answers, the marking scheme as well, because that will let you learn a lot about the theory and the questions, apart from going through your typical textbook, because this will actually show you exactly what this is, and why this is required, and so on and so forth. So B says it is not correct because encryption does not ensure both sides use the same key. No, that's something different. And D is also not correct because encryption does not stop hackers accessing a network. So if you want to stop hackers accessing a network, you have to use a firewall, right? You have to use a firewall, and you have to take the required safety measures to make sure that it's blocked, right? Okay, so yeah, before we jump into another type of a question, can I ask you a question? So, where are you currently at? So, in which unit are you at school?
Encryption.
Encryption. Okay. So, encryption. Let's open this up. So, we are down the point. Okay. So, you guys are following the same book, right? So, you're in the data part. If I'm not mistaken, you should be here, right?
Yes.
Sorry?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, perfect. So you still have like lot to go. So did you guys work
No, sir.
on?
We didn't go in order. We have done some other lessons in the other units as well.
Okay. So you guys finished up the programming part.
Yeah.
Nice, perfect. Okay, programming, and what about the networks? Not yet.
No.
Okay, and the machine and computational models, that also
Yes, we've done.
you all did. Okay. So that means as I see it, you all have covered up the main theory modules, right? Now doing up the final things.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. That's perfect. That's perfect. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so I will be starting from the coding part itself because that's the easiest thing to sort out. And did you guys finish the pseudocode part?
Uh, Meaning the programming part.
Yeah, programming and creating pseudocode.
Yeah.
Okay. Pseudocode. Oh, perfect. One more question. Where did you write the pseudocode? Did you use a pseudocode compiler to write it online and test, or did you just write it on hand?
On hand.
Okay. Good. No worries. Yes. So I will show you some quick tips on how to write pseudocode. So there are a couple of websites which we use. So you can actually write it in the website itself and then practice it and see, because you can actually test the pseudocode then and there. Okay, nice, perfect. Okay, quickly just jump to this. So yeah, so that's the primary point. So I hope you got the idea behind the keywords. Okay, so when you're writing an answer, always make sure that these keywords are there, and you're literally going to get the full marks. So again, if we try out another question, so if we get to this one, so this is the B, and we have the second part of B. File servers are in a small room at the back of an office. The office has a burglar alarm. Give two other ways that server can be secured using physical methods. So how the server can be secured. So that means there can be different types of security methods which you can use, but it has to be make sure the key. So the key says it has to be physical methods. So let's check the answers. So it's almost simple answers. What it says is lock on doors. Yeah. So also guys, keep this in mind as well. So this IGCSE is actually if you look at it, these questions are quite easy. පොඩ්ඩක් පාඩම් කරා කියන්නේ you can actually write this, but the problem is don't make things over complicated. Now example is I have seen lot of students who does this pretty simple mistake where you don't read the question properly, and then you end up writing something totally out of this world for an answer which is requesting you to write something extremely simple. So here the keyword is physical, so that means you just need to think about all the physical ways you can protect a room, right? Here it says file servers, but it's a room, right? It's basically a small room at the back of the office, and how do you protect it? So, in simple terms, you can actually protect it behind a lock and a key, right? So you can put a lock, and surveillance, physical security, and different types of what do you call it? Guards and cards and biometrics and so on and so forth. So see, the keywords are quite straightforward. So what it says is lock on doors, right? So simple answer, putting a lock on the door. So here you can do that in multiple different ways. So you can either go with the electronic lock or a combination lock, or like even if you just say lock on doors, you're going to get the full marks. And swipe cards, biometrics, security guard, security patrol, and any type of a physical security method which you are going to implement or which you will implement in the system can be written. See, complicate karaganda unna. It's like really simple English. So if you write at least 2 lock on doors and CCTV cameras, you get full marks. Okay. Then yeah, and then let's see another one. Okay, so here now I have seen this question multiple times, as well as this question is getting repeated in A level ICT also, because in A level ICT we learn about phishing and the social engineering, and I have seen this multiple times. So here this is asking state what is meant by the term social engineering. Okay, so here in this case now, in this question, in this type of question, now this is a short, now this is a question where you can actually get a short response, right? So this is a short response question because you can just add the keyword and that would be okay. But here this type of questions are actually falling under the open response category. Okay, so here we'll check the answer sheet to find out what this is. So you get 1 mark. Okay, so the answer sheet should be, so the answer should be something which has one of these particular tags. So phishing is basically exploiting a user. So phishing is similar to sending a false message to a user and trying to get him in, right? Something like that. And then, so see the keywords, it exploits on human behavior or tricks people to reveal sensitive data. So this is what is required, but keep an eye on the additional guidance. Okay, so here under the additional guidance you can see, do not award examples, example farming without further information. Okay, so it says like when you are writing this, you must specifically mention one of these keywords so that it will give you the marks. But since it's an open question, you can write some more details, right? So in simple terms, what I would write is so phishing and social engineering. It would be basically you can say displaying a form or tricking the user to get their personal information. Or if you really don't get the keywords, you can write this in a different way also. You can say phishing is a type of social engineering where you create a fake form or a fake event to capture or trick the user to provide personal information. Or for that personal information, you can write this as to create a fake form so that it can trick the user to provide their username and password or private information. All these type of answers do give you the mark, and be careful that trick, social engineering, phishing, and personal information. So those are specific keywords which you must follow, right? Okay, then MCQs, obviously you know what this is. We'll just quickly jump through. So this is again a open-end question, open, and let's see the long questions. Okay, so this is where you hold on. These are all small questions, and 2, 2, 3, and it's 1, and it's 2, 2. Nice, a truth table. Okay, so this is basically creating a logic statement. We'll go down. Nice. Okay, so here we'll check this question out. So this is which one is this? This is question number 6, part D. Question number 6, part D. 3, 4, 5, 6, and part A, B, C, and D. Nice. Okay. Now let's see what the question is and see the answer. Okay. So this is this is the answer which falls under the extended open response category. Okay. So here we have the most simplest question being asked, but since you are getting 6 marks, you have to be careful. You have to write a certain set of information in order to get the full marks. Okay, so cloud storage has become an increasingly popular service. Discuss the benefits and drawbacks of using cloud storage. Okay, so in an ideal scenario, what I can say is, if I am writing an answer for this question, I would split this up into 2 parts, and I would give at least 3 points to each part, which will count up to 6. Okay, now here the thing is, you have a full massive block mentioned here. Okay, so now that means you have to write something more, right? Not a single answer line question. So let's see the marking scheme and see how it works. So you do have so this is not writing it. So the idea is actually to write an essay. Okay, so you don't split it into 2 parts. So I have seen students do this mistake a lot. So when they get this type of a question, so when I said I will write 6 points, that means I will write down the 6 points. I mean, not the 6 points in bullet form, but I will use those 6 points to write down a list, right? But this is something which I have seen most of the students do this particular mistake, where they actually split the question right in middle. When the benefits, other side drawbacks, and you start writing benefits and drawbacks. Okay, and then you get, like, I don't know, sometimes you get only 1 mark. Most of the time you don't get that even. Okay, so let's read and see what is expected in the marking scheme. So here it focuses on 4 factors. Okay, so you have the growth, you have the benefit, you have the drawbacks, and you have the conclusion. Okay, now ideally how this goes is, you talk about why cloud computing and what is the reason behind cloud computing that people starts to use it or people are using it, right? So that's the growth part, right? So here it says, so here they have given the marking, I mean the paper marking personal guideline, But yeah, but if you have written out of these guidelines, still you will get marks, but at least you must make sure that you are in line with what is basically mentioned here. So higher bandwidth available both on wired and wireless networks. So it talks about the reduced cost of large capacity store devices, improved level of encryption, increased trust in service providers, growth of service providers, as well as increased business models that aid scalability regarding storage capacities and costs. So all these specific points, you have to first talk about the growth. So uh, you have to first butter it up first, right? You first put some butter and you say, okay, cloud computing, cloud computing is the best thing, which is currently having a big boom in the world because it's reducing the cost as well as it provides extremely large capacities for storage devices and storage services, right? There, you talk about that point at the beginning, the growth, and then for the buttering part, okay? You never say you talk about the benefits. So the benefits means now you have like kept cloud computing on the top, right? Now that's the best thing. Okay. Now you say why use cloud computing. So normally what I say is when you're writing the questions, it's what, why, and how, if there's any drawbacks, and the conclusion. So drawbacks, so how to use it. So in this case, okay, what is done with the growth, then the benefits, why. So here we can talk about all the benefits of cloud computing. Okay, so primarily we can talk about sharing, we can talk about accessing any from any place, because as we know, when we put a file into the cloud, anything, we just think about, we upload a file into Google Drive or iCloud, right? So it will be published into the server, and then you can access it from any place, right? Simple as that. And obviously cost. So whatever said and done, the cost is the primary factor behind the whole thing, right? Because whenever you want to do something, I mean, whenever you want to upload or store some data, obviously the cost matters a lot, right? Because getting a hard disk, setting it up, and getting everything up and running uh, has a certain cost attached to it. So that will be the benefits. And then now we talked about what all the good things, then we talk about the drawbacks. So the drawbacks, you don't have to write a big essay, just about 3 lines. If you can write 3 lines about the drawbacks, then that's perfectly fine. So what are the drawbacks? Primarily when it comes to cloud computing, the primary and like the most critical drawback is internet, right? So whatever said and done, you need an internet connection to access your files. So first of all, you have to say that you need a network connection, and also at the same time, this will be basically based on the network speed also, because if your network connection is slow, then it will be really hard for you to upload files and use that, right? And then at the same time, there can be security risks. I'm not saying there are such security risks, but there can be security risks, which since your data is being saved outside or in an outside server, right? Okay, so at the same time, we have a lot of mentions drawbacks like data breaches, legal jurisdictions, and increased power consumptions for servers and cooling and CO2 and all these stuff, right? Okay, so you write all the points about the drawbacks. Then we jump into the conclusion. So the conclusion will be something like a conclusion where you talk about what is good, what is bad, and what do you think about that, Okay, so here the conclusion, it says a conclusion does not have to be stated explicitly, but can be inferred from the discussion. So you don't have to specifically write like a complete ideal conclusion, because obviously they are not expecting you to write something like that. But then again, you have to make sure that whatever you write, conclusion will end it in a proper way. Okay, I hope you got the idea for the long answer questions, right? Now let's jump into the most scary thing when it comes to this one. So we have the marking order. Okay. Now yes, this gets 6 marks, and these are the expected keywords and the points. And here you get the way of marking. Okay, so we have 3 levels. Since this question gives you 6 marks, we have 3 levels. Which level, no level is basically 0, because that says no rewardable content, and level 1 would give you a mark of either 1 or 2. Okay, so here it specifically says that basic independent points are made showing elements of knowledge and understanding of key concepts and principles of computer science. So as long as, if you have written the basic keywords, and just that, if you give the idea to the person who is marking this, that you have written the answer correctly, then yes, you're going to get the level 1 mark. Okay, then level 2 is the same thing, but here in this case it is expecting a little bit of a higher knowledge than what was discussed before. So it says demonstration of adequate knowledge and understanding of key concepts. Okay, just to make sure that you demonstrate, you show that you know some knowledge. So that is again based on the key concepts and the idea which you write down. Okay, so this discussion shows some linkage and lines of reasoning with some structure. So in the sense, you should have written this in a way where it should connect systems together, like the storage and data and capacities, prices, and so on and so forth. Okay, and then you have the level 3, which will award you 5 to 6 marks. In this case, they expect you to demonstrate comprehensive knowledge and understanding of the whole thing by selecting relevant knowledge and understanding of key concept principles. So in this case, if you have written a very structured and reasoning model, a model where it should reasoning, or it would reason your answer pretty well, then you're going to get the full marks. Okay, so as I told you before, it's not hard, it's just all about practice and how far you are willing to push your answer and your structure. Okay, so that's about the marking scheme for the paper 1, and those are the types of questions you guys need to practice. Okay, I hope this is, so far it's clear. Now let us quickly jump into the second paper. So again, I'm here and I am going through the paper 2. So let me open up the paper 2. Okay, and in the paper 2, give me 1 second. Okay, so I'm sharing the paper 2. So paper 2, this is where things get a little bit complicated. Okay, now you guys basically face these 2 papers at once. Okay, not like paper 1 and, sorry, not in 2 times, but so you have to basically do both at once, not in the same day, but it will be in 2 days, but then again you have to sit at once, right? Okay, so here be careful when you get this paper, clearly mention, so clearly read this and understand this particular part. Okay, so it says only one programming language must be used throughout the examination. So make up your mind, think, select only one, don't focus on multiple, uh, so don't focus on multiple different programming languages to work on the code. Okay, and you can carry out practical tasks on the computer system and save new or amended code using the name given in the question with the appropriate file extension. So be careful, guys, this is going to be an automated submission. So when you are writing answers for this, sorry, when you're writing the code and when you're saving it, please be careful and be mindful about that particular file name. Okay, that file name is really important because that is how your data and the context is connected in between. Okay, now, so and also at the same time, do not override the original code and the data files which is being provided to you, as well as you must not use the internet during the exam. So here we have, so this is something which I got to know from my students. So sometimes, during at some of these exam centers, they do have installed Visual Studio Code. Okay, so VS Code is a code editor, and sometimes you have this installed. Okay, so if this is installed, then it will be much easier for you because VS Code internally supports Python and has some, let's say, code completion and code guidance features up to a certain extent. I will be using Visual Studio Code in my examples as well, since it's just free, you can install it. Or most of the time, what others do is they use Notepad++. So this is the other tool which is being installed in most of the examination centers. So this is also, it works. It actually supports Python, but the thing is, it doesn't give that much of a code guidance. Okay, so it shows you, if you made an error, it will show you that there's an error, but not like this guy. So VS Code, he has code completion and all sorts of features inbuilt in it. Okay, so I will show you guys about Copilot also. I'm pretty sure you won't get access to Copilot, but then again, you can actually play around with it and see how powerful that guy is. Okay, so jumping back to this one. So those are the primary points which you have to be careful of. Huh? So the total marking for this paper is 80, and the mark for each questions are shown in brackets as usual, and you get another code file as well. So in the Pearson list page, when you go down, you can actually see the code files. So if I click on this one, it would download technically. Let's say it's logging in. Okay, give me one moment. Give me a moment, I'm trying to. If I download this, I'll put it on the chat so that you can all have access to it. Where is the authenticator? Okay, hold on, it's still loading. Yeah, I got the data file. This is 2023 paper, and save. Okay, I got the data file. I will put that on your chat. Okay, I'll put it on the chat. Hold on. We'll put it right now itself, so that to make it easier. So hold on. Documents, choose from files, desktop, Edexcel, IGCSE. Okay, I just sent it on the WhatsApp group, so you can actually download it and see. Okay, so what is this one? So let me open this, and so it's a zip file, but explain. Nice. Okay. So these are the files you get. Okay. So you get basically three files. You get the C# file, you get the Java file, and you get the Python file. So if you open this up, you can see you get a certain set of files Q01B, 01B or II, these 03C, and likewise. So let's jump into the paper and see where these files are being referred. So you can see under the paper, you have the questions, and first of all, whatever said and done, when you start this, indicate which language you are going to use. So if you are using Python, you have to indicate this block, either Java or C#. Be careful. Be careful and be mindful when selecting this. Make sure that you select the correct language. And then we have the questions. Now here you can see this is a small program about to completing of a table of this output which has to be processed, and it says first of all open the Q1B in the code editor. Okay, so let's open Q1B. So I'm just going to open this on Visual Studio Code just to make it easier for us to test. And nice. Okay, so now we have a specific Python file which has a specific definition, right? So here we set the tax, we set a gross amount, net amount, and we check for a validation, and we calculate a result, and we print out a value, right? Now we just need to make sure. Yeah, now we just need to go through the code and answer these questions. So let me take up the marking scheme as well. So this is 2A now. Yeah, 2A, that's this part. We'll check the B. So B, give the contents of a comment. Okay, so B1, so this is asking for a contents of a comment, right? So simple question, I think this is the comment. So you can see this is the only comment which is there in the entire file, right? So we don't have any other comments. This is the only comment, and it is asking for the contents of this comment. So simple as that. You copy and you write it here. That's the contents of the comment. Okay, so this is how you should basically read these questions and write the answers. So so this is part one of this. So make sure that so when you go into the exam at the exam center, they should have all these three programs running. If by any chance if it is not running, then you would have to contact them and get the system up and running, because you need to run the code in order to understand what this is. Okay, so sometimes if it is not possible to run, then it might take it might be a bit hard for you to guess and see these questions. So yeah, that's the type of questions we get, and rest of the questions, everything is actually focused on these files. Now here, if you take the B question, it says open the Q2 BII1 Python file. Okay, now it's a bit of a long file. So let's see what does it do. It has two portions, and it takes an input, enter the weight of chips available in kilograms. So you get it, you multiply it by 1000 to make it milligrams, and then so this is the weight in 2 kilograms to you multiply it in 1000 to make it grams, and then here the gram weight is there, and what does it do? So it checks the value, number of adults into the quantity, number of adults, number of children, quantity, and then we have a problem, calculate total weight required. Here we have a problem. So it's a weird sign. Okay, let's see. Amend the code to correct the errors. Yeah, so obviously yes, there are 4 errors in the code. So we immediately, out of the blue, we found one error. So this is wrong. And what else? What are the other errors? Rahman, dear, have you done Python before, or what's the language you guys followed at school?
We did Python.
You did Python. Nice. Okay, perfect. Okay, perfect. That's good. So, we have the QB, and yeah, so that's the typical way of going through this. So let's just see this thing. So B 2A O B. This is the one, right? Yeah. So you get actually, so based on the errors you fix, you basically get 1 mark per error. Okay. Now here this change has to be 1 plus, and change greater than to less than or equals. So let's check the validation. So check if the available weight is enough for the dinner. So required weight should be greater than the stock. Technically no, right? It should not be greater than the stock. It should be required weight should be less than or equals to the stock. No, then is stock available. Otherwise, we should say that weight is needed, right? And then the subtraction order has to be changed, and also when it comes to the when we are calculating the weight is needed, this is dividing by 0. So if you run this code, you are going to get an error because you can't divide anything by 0, right? So this has to be divided by 1000, right? So likewise, this is how the questions work. So now this is a brief overview about all the papers and the questions, and the rest is almost up to us to go through and work. So we'll start from doing a revision. So my flow for this is, for the next 3 months until March, let's go through a full speed run through all the modules. Okay, so this speed run will be basically like something similar to taking short notes. So we will do short notes, we will go through each module, and I will explain it as easy and simple as fast as possible. And then by March, let's jump into papers. So we have April, May to entirely cover up the papers, and by June we will be full up and running, ready for the exam. Okay, so that's the plan. And so this was the introduction class where I went through all the questions and the structures. So far, Rahma, do you have any other these issues or questions?
No, sir.
Perfect. So one more question: did you guys started something like some sort of a revision at school, or still trying to finish the modules?
I think still trying to finish the modules.
Modules, okay, okay. So how far do you think you'll be able to finish it by the end of, let's say, somewhere by April?
Somewhere by the end of February.
End of February. Okay, okay. So that means you have like couple of only few modules to finish, that means.
Yes.
Ah, nice. Okay. Can you tell me how many modules are there?
So we have
By the way, you have this
Tutes.
book with you, right?
Yes.
Okay.
The entire unit of communication and internet,
Okay.
and the like 2 lessons in the last unit, the bigger picture,
Bigger picture. Okay. Okay.
and we have to do software in computers unit,
This one. Okay.
and encryption. We're doing it right now.
You are doing encryption. Ah, okay. Then you have enough time to finish it up. So these points that develop code, strings, data structures, all these things are done, right?
Yes.
Nice. Perfect. Okay. Perfect. That's great. Then when we try out the Python code, it will be quite interesting and easy for you. Okay. Nice. All good. All good. Perfect. So I will be wrapping up the class for today. So that this basically, I hope you learned about the paper structure. So and what type of answers you have to do. And this part is also clear, right? How to find the papers, how to find the marking scheme, how to understand the examiner's report.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, perfect. So that part is already there in the beginning of the video as well. So this video will be uploaded into YouTube, and I will share the link. Plus, I'll put all these links in the description so that you can read it and go through it. So yeah, sounds good. Are you joining the theory class as well? Or you're here only for the revision?
I'm okay with anything. I have to ask my parents.
Okay, okay, no problem. No rush, no rush. Okay, so the theory class will be tomorrow morning. So for the theory class, I am planning to start from the development itself because that is the trickiest thing to cover up. The developing Python, the data structures and input and output and all. So once that is done, I'll be jumping into the algorithms and the sorting and the searching part, and then we'll be jumping into the data and the calculations. Then we'll be talking about the rest because the rest is technically almost theory. Okay, so that's the plan so far. Okay, nice. Thanks for joining the class. We'll catch back next week.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.